Hello, welcome back to our show. You
just made the blooper reel.
Take two. Hello, I'm Reginald Bullock, and I hope you enjoy the episodes that you might have been watching prior to. And if you haven't, tune in to watch Living Life with me, Reggie B, and
Trey Wilder here. Hope y'all are having a good one. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Reggie, this is a good day. It's a good episode. I feel very positive about this.
You feel positive about this?
I feel very positive about this. I ain't gonna hold you. And look, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm wrong, I apologize. Please forgive me. I think that's a nice little touch off of that. So give me a little.
Well, you know, in the old school, they would say, charge it to the head and not charge it. They say, you know, if I ever missed anybody, if I didn't say your name, well, you know how you go name and you charge it to the head. You know, if I missed you, charge it to the head and not the heart.
You can forget.
So we say some stuff. Forgive us. Please forgive us. Charge it to the head and not the heart.
So, for example, when I say like seeking like forgiveness, right? Whether you're an athlete, whether you're anybody. So
and we're
transitioning on to the episode. So if y'all ain't noticed, we about to talk about some actual stuff now. But in sports, I'm a sports head, so you know you might hear some athletes from time to time. Travis Hunter plays on Colorado with Coach Prime and them. You know, Shadur Sanders and all them. Shout out to y'all boys, even though we just beat y'all. Go USC Trojans. He kind of got a little. Travis got hurt. I don't want to mention the guy's name who hurt him too much, so I'm gonna say his name one time.
Why?
I don't like him. That's all. I was gonna call him dude after.
But if you say his name, and this show has an impact on him negatively, now he's got to figure out how to forgive you, right? For messing his life up.
All right, fine. I'll call him.
It's your show.
I'll call dude by his name now. Henry Blackburn, you know that's his name. But no, they're playing Colorado. It's a rivalry game, right? Like the coach is talking about, oh well, when I talk with people, you know, usually my shades and hat are off, and if you know Colorado's coach, that's primetime Deion Sanders, he usually has a hat on with some shades and probably a chain or two. So you know he fits that bill. So it's a different environment going up against one another. And early on in the game, Henry sits up there and hits Travis while he's out of bounds. It was a dirty play. So Henry, if you watching, you was quite dirty at that moment, champ. I'm sorry. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. And I don't think you should have been playing football for the rest of your career. But that's just me. That's me. That's in. Yeah, I don't like dirty plays regardless. I don't care what sport it is. If you're displaying, there's a difference between competition and being dirty.
No, that part I get, right?
So that's reason that is the reason why I say
unsportsmanship.
Very much so. Very.
So that part I get, but I would have this question, like in hindsight 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's had a lot of questions and interviews and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Does he feel like he deliberately did that intentionally to hurt him? Or was he caught up in the moment and he was just amped up and it just came out?
So if it was like an accidental play, right? In basketball.
I mean, what is he saying?
I haven't heard that part. I know they went bowling recently, Travis and Hunter. So I know they went bowling recently. I'm pretty sure they had a nice little conversation and whatnot. But I also think too that was more so for optics for Travis. Like I don't know if Travis. I don't know how Hunter necessarily felt in that moment.
So I don't want to be sounding like a pundit, right? Because you know I have an intel,
right?
And so I almost said something. Let's just say I know a lot about intelligence,
right?
And one of the things we talk about in the intelligence community is prove the truth. So before we write up a op or a fact or whatever, we have lots of facts, right? We got to prove the truth. So you can say what you said,
right?
But I can't, because to me it's like, all right, factually, do we know what was going on in his mind from a conversation, or are we making a lot of assumptions based on our own experience, our own background, our own knowledge, our own culture, and placing that on him as if these are his thoughts?
Oh, it's all assumptions. I can tell you. I can tell you that right now.
So you make the assumptions. I'm gonna focus on. All right. So they had a date. I mean, it is right. It was on the calendar. It could have been 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or whatever. So that's a date on the calendar. And they talked. I would be curious to know what they talked about to understand why did he hit him.
Yeah.
Because you said he shouldn't play football for the rest of his life.
Career. He can play football. Yeah, he can play football outside of it. I don't care.
He shouldn't have a football career.
Yeah, not a professional. Because I think you're also teaching.
Depending on what he says.
Yeah, you can come back and say, all right, my bad. And I didn't mean that. And you can't really prove someone's intentions. Like, you can try, but like I don't think you can really prove, especially in that moment, because it's a competitive game too, right? And it's an injury riddled like sport. Like it's football. You're not just slapping somebody.
Has he done that regularly? I'm sure they check the footage on mini games prior.
Yeah, I haven't heard a report of that
thing.
I haven't heard a report of that's a thing. But I also know, too, this was a highly touted game. Like, everyone was waiting for this.
Which is why I think he could have been amped up.
But if you Colorado State, though, all right, if you're in football, you know how to not hit somebody. Or if I'm in basketball and I know someone's about to lay the ball up, I'm not going to try to undercut them. So I know, like, at a certain level, you know what to do, what not to do.
I get it.
So it's like, to me...
But in a split second, the neurons could be forming a new pathway.
That's fair.
You ever seen a boxing match happen where after the bell rung, the other boxer got hit?
Ooh.
Happens a lot. Bell rings and you still punch.
I haven't seen one recently.
Because you might not have heard the bell. You might not have been paying attention, even though you should have been, right? And so he could have been in motion.
Right.
Like, I'm going to hit this dude.
Right.
I'm going to hit this boy. I'm going to knock him out. And he's so tunnel vision to hit this guy. Mm-hmm. That he ain't paying attention whether he's out of bounds or not. He has one mission.
But see, that's a problem, though.
I get it's a problem, but what I'm saying is that's part of being amped up.
Yeah, but I think also as being a D1 athlete,
lack of control.
Yeah, and you got to have control if you play in sports, especially football.
But man, I've been teaching martial arts for over 20 years, right? And most people between white belt up to black belt, right? We sparring and whatnot. Kicking me, hitting me, punching me, doing all kinds of stuff in the face, whatever, by accident. I got kicked in the leg and the nuts so many times by accident, right? Man. I mean, literally.
That's not. Would you say that's a dirty play, though? I wouldn't classify that as a dirty play.
I mean,
it hurts.
You could classify it because you know that you're not supposed to do that.
Okay.
You're told these are the rules.
Okay.
You know, like when I'm in the tournament fighting, I have rules, right?
Right.
Now, you know, I could violate those rules because I'm just trying to take this person out.
Right.
And then Reggie, you shouldn't have kicked him in the back. I'm like, well, he was in the middle of turning. Well, once his back was turned, you shouldn't have punched him in the head. I'm like, well, I was already going to punch. The fact that he turned, what I'm supposed to do is stop.
Okay.
Technically, you are. But I may be in such a zone when that anxiety is pumping.
Yeah.
Oh man, I broke this dude's nose, knocked him out, sent him to the hospital in a split second. And I didn't realize I did it until afterwards. Like I gave him a fake and he was still standing there like a golf ball on the tee.
Yeah.
His head was the golf ball and his body was the tee. And I did a jump, spinning round kick to his head, and his head was just waiting for my foot. Had I known that he was going to be waiting for my foot, I'd have hit him just for the point, not to knock this dude out and send him to the hospital. He go home with his family, broken nose and face all bandaged up and everything. I felt bad and I apologized to him. Yeah, I went bowling. That's my point. And so now, should they have told me I shouldn't be in martial arts tournaments for the rest of my life?
So I feel like it's different in this scenario, but let me ask you, because I'm talking in the football game, right? Travis is already out of bounds essentially, and Henry.
I thought,
yeah. So like
to me, it was like a flagrant foul.
That's what I'm saying. So like in your scenario, I've done sparring before, and I had to go up against the dojo master's daughter before, and like, you know what I'm saying, she hitting us with a whole bunch of moves, and what I'm like, hey yo, this is cheating right here, but. She gets us with a couple of legal moves too, but it's fighting though. It can happen in that point in time, but it's one-on-one. So if you're out of bounds, I see it. I can stop it. He kind of went out of his way, it felt like, to go tackle Buddy, because he went around his own teammate to go tackle Travis. So that's why I'm like, it's the egregiousness of it. I'm like, I can't rock with that.
But he's a college student.
That's fair. He's still young.
You played ball in college.
Not to his degree, but yeah, I did. Yes,
and so lots of mistakes and learning and growth and development opportunities because you're not pro. You're just a student. And that's the purpose of that whole element, is to train you. And I get it, right? It's sensationalized now. It's big money now. But you're still just 18, 19, 20-year-old learner. Right?
That's fair.
And so therefore, how do you learn if you don't make mistakes? How do you learn if you don't have errors? Same thing back in leadership. Like, just because a person's in a leadership position doesn't make them a leader. And they impact families every day negatively. Right? And so, but they learn from their mistakes. They learn. So I would be curious to see him 6 months from now, right? Next year, and to have an understanding of, is he playing better football? Is he playing by the rules better? Is he more conscious and aware of his actions?
Right.
Because we don't know his upbringing.
That's a fair
point. He could have daddy issues, right? Or mommy issues, or he could have been bullied going. You never know what his whole background is that led up to him doing that. So to that extent, all right, are we blaming him 100%? Or can we also look at some of those other elements and cultures?
That's fair too.
I hate to do this, but it's kind of like racism, right?
Yeah.
Racism is learned for the most part. So when a person presents themselves to you and they are presenting themselves in a racist manner, do you give them grace because their mother and father was racist, their grandfather was a card-carrying Ku Klux Klan member, and therefore every Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthday, and get-together, that whole cultural element was indoctrinated in them since birth up to age 20, and that's all they know. Now they come across you, and they've been trained to have this mindset. Now, for them to transition from a diversity, equity, and inclusion world and to be a little bit more understanding of human beings is going to be a hard corner to turn, because that's not who they are. However, there could be a significant emotional event that occurs that causes that person now to at least entertain a different mindset from what they were trained. So that's why I said, with him, I get it. It was egregious. When I saw it, I'm like, man, the team members, it's a wonder both teams ain't fighting right.
I'm about to say, yeah, he should
right.
He could have got dragged real quick.
And even that's a whole other maturity,
right?
From Deion's perspective, probably. Like,
you had to.
We came here to play football.
Yeah.
Now I get he did what he did, and he took our boy out. This is how we're gonna kick their ass. We're gonna kick their ass.
You have to.
We're gonna score. We're gonna follow the rules. We're gonna kick. We're gonna run. We're gonna catch. We're gonna block. We're gonna do all of that stuff so well, the Martin Luther King theory, that the living, the dead, and the unborn couldn't do it better. And let him go back and watch the playback of his score and our score. He's got to live with that for the rest of his life, in addition to that playback of that foul. That right there going to eat him up. He may end up needing to see a psychiatrist
because of that.
Different perspective.
Yeah, because I will say, to your point, we don't know his upbringing, so that could have led to whatever his decision making was at that moment. But I think that about closes off the show. We apologize for having to end it, though. See what we did there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, Carol Burnett, you know who she is?
I don't, actually.
Of course not, man. She old enough to be your great-great-grandmother.
That might be.
She was a comedian, and at the end of her show, she would say something to the tune of, "I'm so glad we had this time together, just to laugh and sing a song or two. And before you know it, comes the time you have to say so long." Anyway, they made a whole thing that every time they closed the show, that there was that jingle, and the cast would come together and sing that.
That's funny.
So we got to figure out what we're going to use to close the show.
Might try to do that. Might try to come up with a little jingle.
What do you say for your Get a Bucket show?
Please like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. This is Reggie. We're the host of Just Living Life. So hope you all had a good one, and take care.